And I'm going to take us out to Facebook Live now. There we go. So,
all right. Well, hey, everybody, as you're floating into the room, go ahead and get comfortable. You can, just a couple housekeeping tips that we'll go through. So we're so excited that you're here tonight. There are several ways for you to participate. So if you scroll down to the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A button. That is where we want you to ask questions, and your questions are always better than ours. So please don't be shy. If you have a question for Chantelle, please ask it. Over in the chat button, that is where Julie will be putting links to Chantelle's books, as well as any other books we mentioned and our books. And just a side note, and Julie's going to talk about Warwick's in a minute, but just my little plug, Julie works so hard, and Warwick's puts together so many amazing events. If you go look at their events page, every single event they have is amazing, and that takes a lot of work. So the best thing that you can do is support them by buying books from them, or any independent bookstore, but particularly we're here with Warwick's tonight. We're a little partial, and it's so easy. You just choose media mail in the checkout, and I got my books, I think, in like 3 days, Julie. Even with media mail, it was really inexpensive.
I know it's really it's a lot better than people think it is.
It really is. So anyway, so remember, Q&A, you've already got someone saying hi to you. Sandra Sears is saying hi, Chantel.
So, hi, Sandra.
Getting us kicked off. And speaking of Warwick's, Julie, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, will do. Lots more highs are coming in. Anita saying hi. Anita's saying hi to Sandra, I think. I don't know. There's all kinds of people chatting in the chat room. It's really fun. We're also on Facebook Live right now. And so I'm going to be putting on Chantelle's book and Liz and Lisa's book, both in the webinar. We got lots of people in the webinar, but also on Facebook Live too. So there's lots of ways you can click that button and buy this book. And we're also going to be on YouTube later. So we got you covered, Chantelle, we're going to blast this book out to everybody, which happy pub day. Today is pub day.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for hosting.
Yeah, so fun. So we're so excited to have you. We were talking before we started the webinar that in normal times, it would have been so great to have you out at Warwick. Speaking of where we're out in, for those of you that are joining us maybe from around the country, we're located in La Jolla, which is a little bit north of San Diego, California. So we're on the West Coast. Don't know, sometimes people are joining us from all over the place. So it's always fun to do these virtual events. Like Liz said, thank you for the plug. What we like to say, anyway there is to buy a book, you can buy it from Warwick's. It's just as easy to click and shop with us as it is any other online retailer. We won't mention any names. But if you're in an area that has your own independent bookstore, support them too. We've been around since 1896. We're celebrating our 125th anniversary this year, which is amazing. So, and that's because we have wonderful people out there supporting us. So thank you. Liz and Lisa, we couldn't do these without you. We love having you guys as our partner in this couch surfing. So it's been wonderful. And Chantal, we're so excited to hear this conversation. I can't wait. One of our booksellers, like I was telling you in the green room, one of our booksellers, Kim, absolutely loves this book. And so we're spreading the word far and wide for you. So have a great conversation.
Thank you.
I'm going to go away and I'll be monitoring things in the background. See ya.
All right. Bye, Julie. Well, welcome, guys. As Julie mentioned, I'm Liz Fenton, and I'm here with Lisa Steinke. We're best friends of over 30 years. We've also co-written 7 novels. The most recently is How to Save a Life, that came out almost a year ago, and it's a dark, heart-pounding love story with a Groundhog Day twist. You can buy that and our entire backlist at Warwick's, and you can get them personalized there because we live nearby. Chantel, you've got all these people saying hi to you. Anita, Ronnie, we've got Marissa Stapley, who's an amazing author. And then Ronnie is shouting out Toronto. So I just wanted to let you know. And then I'm going to pass it to Lisa, who is going to tell us all about you.
Welcome and congrats on Pub Day today. Yay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We're so happy to have you. All right, so here's a little bit about Chantelle. Chantelle Guertin is the best-selling author of 7 novels, including Stuck in Downward Dog and Love Struck for adults, and the Pippa Green series for teens, her latest novel, INSTAMOM, hit bookstores today. As the founder and coordinator of the Lifestyle Media Postgraduate Program and Centennial College in Toronto, she helps students turn their dreams into their dream careers. Follow her on Instagram at Chantelle Guertin for book reviews, family life, and pictures of her dog, Margot. Welcome.
Thank you. And thank you. I'm a huge fan of your novels. So this is a real treat to be here with you.
Oh, thank you. Well, we're excited. So let's get to the hard-hitting questions. So Karma Brown, who we love, one of our favorite authors and friends, had this to say about INSTAMOM. Chantelle Guertin's INSTAMOM is the hashtag InstaFun rom-com you need right now. Witty and spirited with a modern love story that satisfies thanks to a charming meet cute and timely insights. Pitch perfect, sexy, and smart. Hashtag loved it. That's quite an endorsement. Why don't you tell us what it's about?
Sure. So the book is about a woman who is proudly child-free by choice. So not only has she made the decision that she just doesn't see, becoming a mother, but she's built her whole career around it. So she's written a book called Kid Free Forever. She goes around the country giving speaking tours. She's founded meetup groups for women who are also child-free by choice, so that when they're going through that stage of life in like late 20s and 30s, and maybe all of their friends are starting to have kids and they're feeling a bit lonely or alienated, or maybe, they can't go for a glass of wine on Tuesday night anymore with them, that they have this group together that they can support each other in their life, love, careers. So this is all going on for her. She's also an Instagram influencer on the side. As we know, that's a career that often comes out of a lot of other careers. And she is at an influencer event and she meets a sexy chef and falls for him, only to learn that he is a single dad. So for her, it's an initial deal breaker.
Juicy. I love it. I know Karma mentioned in her blurb, timely insights, and you mentioned influencers, and, and I think that's one of the reasons. First, that's a great book, but also I think it's fascinating. I think we're all fascinated with that topic right now. And why do you think we're all so obsessed with that? And how did your own experience shape this novel or inspire you to want to write it?
Well, that's a great question. So I think Instagram and social media is so interesting because it's accessible to everyone. So you can go on there and you can just post, once a year, and you can look at other people's posts. And so it seems like it's an even playing ground. But then we see people who are perfectly curated, who make you feel bad about yourself because you're like, well, how does that person have their hair and makeup done? Why do their 5 children have matching outfits and look happy in this picture? And what we don't realize is that that is their job. And actually, that was probably very, very stressful to get that photo and then to send it to the brand who has to approve it and give you feedback. And then also that you can get paid because it's a job. So I really wanted to explore that because I think it's this vicious cycle. It was made as a medium to make us feel closer to other people when we don't see them. And probably, this past year, that was a real way that we all connected with each other. And yet it's the same medium that actually can make us feel alienated from others.
Right. And I definitely feel that. I mean, I think Lisa and I have had a lot of conversations, running our Instagram, like, you either have to share like everything, and there's so many people that do it so well, but I almost feel like authors that do it so well, but I almost feel like tired watching, like, where do they find the time? But I think you make a good point. Like, they make that part of their job and they're very good at it. But I think you got to be all in or not in at all. It's an interesting balance when you're kind of curating that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So let's look. I've got to get it right, because I'm out of virtual background. So
you got it.
There we go.
I can hold it for you.
Thank you. Great cover. I think it's really eye-catching. Tell us a little bit about the process, and did you have any part in designing it?
Yeah, so I had absolutely no part in designing it, but my book sold to an American publisher, Kensington, and a Canadian publisher, Penguin Random House. And so I had 2 editors which was really great because it brought two perspectives. And they sort of behind the scenes decided, I think, how to divvy up the work so they weren't both like tackling everything. So the Kensington took on the cover, and I really love it. A lot of people think it's Scrabble pieces, and I've seen a lot of bookstagrammers do flat lays with Scrabble pieces, which is super fun. And there is actually a little Scrabble throw in the book. Because there's a scene, but actually what this is it's like those blocks you would give a baby that maybe they have their name on or their building blocks, and then the two bottom, one is a glass of wine and one is a juice box. So and then the nail polish is really fun, right? Because of course everybody has really good nails when they're always taking pictures of themselves. So I love it. And I love it because it's the same cover. So if you're in Canada, you'll be seeing the exact same cover, which is easy to recognize then. And there's a little bit of a difference in treatment. I can actually show you. The American cover has spot gloss on it. So I'm not sure if you can see it. And then it has embossed letters. So you can actually, they're raised so you can feel them. And then the Canadian version is matte, and then they actually did a different inside treatment where they did a little Instagram post in the front, which is super cute.
That's cute.
Yeah, and then they did in the back cover too. They just have like that color.
They were trying to one up the Americans.
Well, the Canadians. Gloss, so
they're like, oh, we're gonna make it inside cover. Take that, Kensington.
I do like the raised though. That's cool.
Yeah, it really is. I love both.
What I like about it is my favorite sort of covers is that ones that like you kind of have to look at it for a few minutes to get all the details. Like when I first glanced, I didn't see them, and then I was looking at it today and I'm like, oh, it's nail polish. Like, oh, that's a wine glass. And those are my favorite sort of covers. Lisa, we have a question, right?
We do. It's from Marissa Stapley. Hey, Marissa. She's asking if you have a favorite scene in the book.
Oh, that is great. I have a lot of scenes that I really enjoyed writing, but I'll tell you about the first scene because it doesn't give you a spoiler. And I think it's sort of funny. So I wanted to set the book up with an Instagram influencer event because I thought it put you right in her life. So she's going to an event, but she's coming at it. She is an influencer, but she's been around for a long time, right? This is kind of a side gig. And when I was not researching really, but this was what I used to do, go on TV talking about beauty products. And so I'd go to events. And a few years ago, I went to an event and I walked in and it was, purple and black and everything was beautifully decorated. And I was like looking around and some people were wearing purple and black. And I was like, like my invite didn't say to like come dressed in the colors. And photographers are walking around, shooting it, which they do because they want to report back to the brand. So I was just, got myself a glass of wine and was like sitting around, and a photographer came over and he was sort of motioning to me. So I was like, oh, you want to take my picture? Like I start to pose and he's sort of like, move out of the frame. Like he was taking a picture of an influencer who had hired him to follow her around because that's their job, right? They need video, they need them holding the balloons, they need to get like me out of that shot. So right. I was sort of mortified, like, whoa, okay, like no one needs my picture at this event. But then I realized, you know what, this will come in handy one day. And it did when I was writing the book.
You're like,
I love that. We have a couple more questions. Catherine, maybe Prosiak, not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. I hope I am, is asking, do you know many friends who are successful women who are like many of the girlfriends she knows that won't date men with kids? If so, any advice for those ladies out there?
Wow. Well, far be it, Catherine, for me to give any advice on dating, because I think that was what I wanted to explore, like someone who is child-free and meets someone like that. Really, I just think that, they think plenty of fish in the sea. For Kit, she didn't know initially. And one thing I really wanted to look at was that oftentimes we think about someone and we think, oh, well, oh, but they're a dad, right? Or but they had kids. But actually why Will is who he is because he's a dad. So sometimes we don't realize like the person we're looking at is that person because of all the influences in their life, and children might be one of them. So it doesn't mean if you don't want to have kids, I think that would be a hard leap to suddenly date someone with kids, because I don't know how you would really keep it super separated without becoming involved with them. But I think it's interesting because you can't judge that person and say like, oh, if only they didn't have kids. Well, they wouldn't be that person.
Yeah, and I have to call out Lisa right now because your husband had kids when you met him, and
He did. I wanted kids though, is the only difference. But the woman who set us up, my friend, our mutual friend, did not tell me he had kids. And she says, I swear I told you. And I'm like, you didn't tell me. So I sort of found out in a funny way. And I was so like thinking he didn't have kids that he talked about his kids at one point. And I was like, oh, you mean like your pets, your animals? Because I was so like in this world of thinking he didn't have kids. But I mean, it was great when, I was happy that he did and ended up marrying him and it all worked out. But yeah, she's sort of, and I think she did sort of hold it back, even though she claimed she didn't, because I think she was worried that I wouldn't want to go out with him, and I think that is for some women can be a deal breaker, which is fine. It just wasn't for me. So it's kind of a funny story. More questions are coming in. Christina Becchiato is asking, where is your favorite place to write?
Oh, that's a great question. So I think this is probably terrible for my back, but I love to write in bed, like with the covers.
No.
Oh my God.
Really?
No, really? Do you at least
Yes.
have one of those things that you could put on your lap, like where you just
have the laptop?
Just you and the laptop in the bed
on a pillow?
Listen, years and years ago, when I wanted to be a published author, I used to read Meg Cabot's blog, and she said that if you were in the reclined position, the creative juices went up to your head.
Oh.
And listen, she's published like 100 books.
Oh, yeah.
Am I going to dispute what she says? I was like, I'm taking this advice. I'm laying in bed.
Oh my God, I love that. Maybe we should try this.
I mean, you're already successful, but maybe you'll be writing like
that way.
I want to see what happens. Okay, and Jennifer McIntyre is asking, any future novels that include a tennis angle?
Listen, no one can steal this idea, but I just have to figure out what's going to happen. But I already have the title. It's going to be called 30 Love, and the woman's going to be 30. Good. Right. And I think she has to go somewhere in the Catskills with her girlfriends and meet the hot tennis instructor. I mean, I'm giving away the plot. So if this book, someone writes this book,
you can call me to court. I'll be a witness.
Right. I know you can't steal people's ideas. You can steal ideas. So I better write this fast. But I really want to.
But I might be missing something because I don't know your full history, but you're a tennis player or?
Yes, and Jen, who asked that, is one of my tennis friends. So,
okay.
So she knows
I felt like she had an agenda.
Tennis.
I felt like she had an agenda.
I felt a tennis agenda as well. Yeah. So I had to check in on
that. You've got a couple more over there, Lisa.
Yeah. They're just flying. Should I keep asking, or do you? Like you said earlier, they're going to be better than ours, right?
They are better than ours.
Okay, so Kaylee Stewart, Kaylee is asking. And I don't think this is giving anything away because your book's a rom-com, but she's saying, did you ever think about changing the ending, or did you know you wanted to stick with a more rom-com type ending?
Yeah, so I won't give away the ending, but I'll say the ending was hard to write because I wanted it to feel realistic and true to Kit's character and what would she really do. So I did rewrite the ending actually quite a few times till I found out what was right. But ultimately, yes, I was writing this as a rom-com because I love a good rom-com. So
who doesn't, girl?
So do the readers too. They're gonna want that ending, I think.
Okay.
You want to go to one of yours, Liz, and then we can come back?
Yeah, and then we'll come back to yours.
Okay.
Because we're really curious about your writing process. And also curious if it's changed over time. Do you outline? Do you figure it out as you go? Do you set aside each time to write? I know you mentioned you have children. So, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I have a group of friends and we're all writers, Karma Brown and Marissa Stapley are in that group. We call it the Coven. And we all get up at 5 a.m. So 5 a.m. Writers Club. And that has really been the key for me because there's no email coming in yet. And the kids aren't awake yet. And it's really the time that I can get a good chunk of writing done. So I try to write every single day because it's a muscle and you have to exercise it. And even if it's terrible. So I balance between just writing and sort of as I'm writing, sort of working on that outline. So I don't fully flesh out the outline ahead of time. I sort of balance the two, and then that just means probably more rewrites, but that's sort of my process. And it's sort of as I'm rewriting that I'm polishing, like, who are these characters and what would they do in each scenario?
Yeah, no, that's great. I know all about your 5 a.m. writers. I feel like I don't think Karma started it, or maybe she did.
She's been in it have you been in it since forever with her? Because I know she's been in it for years.
No, listen, Karma, yeah, she's very dedicated. And I feel like I was not on board because she would go home when we'd be out and I'd still have like 4 more glasses of wine. Right. And like, that's why she was getting up at 5 a.m. and I was not.
Yeah.
But then I had to come around with 3 kids. I was like, these books don't write themselves. I learned a lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think you can be hungover at 5. The hungover 5 a.m. club, that's somewhere else on Twitter.
Yeah.
They're not getting as much done.
You got a ton of questions in here.
Yeah, Franzi is asking, what is your favorite? I know this all the Canadians because favorites OU. Can tell who's Canadian, who's American here. What is your favorite thing about the main character, Kit?
Oh, I love that she's a strong personality and she knows who she is. So I think probably my default is sort of to write a more, unsure of herself character. And so I really liked writing Kit, who knew who she was, who was going to, give it right back to Will. And she stands up for herself. And actually, even in the editing, I really felt like my editors would remind me, like, yeah, remember, Kit is not going to take that from Will, right? So that's a fine balance because you're still trying to have a romance here, but not, she has to be who she is. So I like that. It was inspiring for me as well.
That's awesome. We have another question from Davida. She's saying, hi, Chantelle. How do you feel about maintaining your own Instagram? Does it feel like work or come naturally? Love that you always keep it real and fun.
Well, that's very nice. I really made a decision actually probably about a year ago, like when the book sold, that I was going to not do any more brand partnerships. So for me, I was doing a lot of that with beauty products, and I felt like it was not feeling authentic to me. And I would constantly compare myself to other people and think like, oh, like they're just doing a better job. And what I realized is that that's their passion. They're doing a good job because they feel so happy doing it, even though it's work. But for me, like my dream is to write novels. So I realized like I can cut this out and then Instagram will just feel better because I can just post when I want to post, what I want to post. And so I was lucky enough to be able to do that and like cut that part of my business out. But that feels nice because now I never feel any pressure to post.
That is nice. Lisa, you want to take the next one?
Yeah. Ronnie is asking, you've written both YA and adult. Which do you prefer and which do you think is your more authentic voice?
That's a good question.
Oh, that is a great question. So when I decided to write the YA books, the reason was that I really wanted to explore a love triangle. So in adult books, you can do a love triangle, but you know, it's probably not going to go over very well if someone's married and then it's just an affair, right? So I didn't want to do that. But what I loved was like, well, you know, if they're 16, 17 and, you know, she sort of likes two guys, yeah, that's a good story. So that's why I actually switched to that. I liked that, you know, I could have a little more fun with it and the voice and sort of skew that. And I love reading YA. But I think that there's probably lots of ways that you can do that. Things that work in adult books and things that work better in teen or YA books.
Absolutely.
We've got, you want me to kill?
No,
okay,
go
we got
for
it.
Go for it.
Yeah. Anita is, Ivana is asking, any advice for new authors starting out?
Yes. So I think just keep writing. If you know, if you have to revise it, like make that story the best that you possibly can. And it might not work out. I have lots of books that never got published. I think you probably hear the same thing from tons of authors. But that's not a failure. That's just practice. Like, how many resumes or cover letters did you write as a teenager trying to get a job and you were like, McDonald's won't hire me? You know what? You just had to make that a better cover letter. And that's the thing. So you're all of those. It's like Malcolm Gladwell says, you know, I'm just pulling out the cliches here, but you know, 10,000 hours to be good at something. Just keep trying. And not every book is for every person. So you could send to an agent. It's just not what they love. Eventually you're going to find the right book that you write with the right agent who's going to find the right editor, because you want everyone to be excited about it, as excited as you are about the book. So that just takes time.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Lindsay is asking, so first she's saying, first of all, congratulations. And then she's asking if any of your kids have read INSTAMOM.
No.
How old are your kids?
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
Well, I think the only one who maybe would is my stepdaughter, who's 12, but I think no, because also I wanted to staple those pages together, even if my dad reads the book. So like,
right.
I mean, so it's a rom-com and there's some scenes that but you know, that's a rom-com. That's what makes it good, right? But yeah, but my two stepkids who are 14 and 12 have read my teen books. And my stepson was really funny when he read it. He was like, that was actually really good. Like, I didn't really think it was going to be good, but I liked it like a real book. And I thought that is the highest praise.
That is high praise. My stepkids have never read my books. I can't get, and my oldest is a avid reader. But she finally came around and said she's read the one we're working on now, because I keep asking her advice on it because one of the main characters is her age. So maybe perhaps that's why she's interested now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's high praise though, for sure.
Yeah, my daughter read at the time, I think she was 14, read 3 chapters and then didn't read anymore. And I kind of just wish she had never read any. I think that might be worse.
Right.
Chantelle, what other authors do you admire, and who would you recommend?
Well, I love these two authors who write as best friends, Liz and Lisa. So I love your books. I also love Christina Lauren. And I just read The Unhoneymooners, which my stepdaughter gave to me as a Mother's Day present. And I was like, this is such a thoughtful gift. And I loved that book. So yeah, I would recommend that. You know, I really love old Emily Giffin. So I loved, like, maybe a little bit under the radar at this point, but Baby Proof, which is sort of an interesting idea.
One.
Yeah, where the woman doesn't want to have kids. So I thought that was good. I remember when I read that thinking, I love this idea. Right now, I am reading Finley Donovan is Killing It, which is hilarious.
I loved that book. I loved that. And going to be a series. I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, it's really fun. Yeah, and I read the new Emily Henry, People We Meet on Vacation, which was so great, like perfect summer read.
Yeah, her voice is great.
Yeah,
each read's so good too. We have one question in the Q&A. We're worried it's a spoiler. Anita, we don't want you to think we're ignoring you, but I'm worried it might have a little bit of a spoiler in there. So we're gonna leave it. So what do you hope readers think when they read the last page of this book?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, I hope they're glad they made it to the last page. Like a high praise for me is that it's a page turner, that you read it quickly, that this isn't some book that dragged on forever. And I think that if you have a strong opinion, that's great. Like, I love that if you hated someone, my mother-in-law said she hated one of the characters. Great. Like, so I'm looking forward to that. I mostly, because it just came out, I haven't heard a lot of feedback yet from anybody. Obviously, even my family, they don't have copies of the book yet, but like, I hope it just sparks some feeling. That's the best thing by the end.
So you don't get a meh review?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or it did not finish. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. We have more questions coming in. Cassandra Harding Watman is asking, if you had to pick one of your favorite characters in this book or one of your older books, who would it be and why? Then she says, so excited to read INSTAMOM. Congratulations.
Oh, that's nice. Well, I love Kit, but one of the characters in the book didn't get a lot of page play, I guess, was Kit's sister. And I guess I'm probably like a one-trick pony. I often put a sister in there because I have a sister, so I know what it's like to have a sister. But I had a good storyline for her, but I guess we just had to get to the point. So a lot of it we edited out, but I thought she was really fun, and I might do something else with her.
Oh, I love when authors do that.
I love it too. We like to write sisters too. We like that in our books. Danielle Guertin.
Oh, there's my sister.
That's very timely. How funny. She's asking, what comes first to you when writing a book, the plot or the characters? And do you always start at the beginning of the book, or is there a scene that you build the story out from?
Wow, that's a good question. So I always try to come up with like, what's the hook or the like 2-line pitch for the idea, because you got to have the one that is that going to hang together and what's the problem. And then I just start writing, and no, the first chapter, I think, is like, I write that 20 times, and it's usually the last thing that happens because I rewrite it and keep starting the book in different places. And I should just tell myself, just start on chapter 2, you'll figure it out later, but you need to kind of get into that. But I always go back at the end. In this one, that influencer scene was probably the last scene I ever wrote, and it's the opening scene of the book. And I wrote that in like kind of the final editing process.
That's so cool. We just had another one come in. Do you have a writing mantra from Sarah? Do you have a writing mantra that keeps you motivated?
Oh, I think it always changes. I don't know if this is Sarah, my friend, but we often have a word of the year, and that is usually tied. I think about it. So like, never quit. I like, try harder, wing it. Like, I always have something, but I always try to think about, like, it usually applies to writing mostly because that's what is always top of mind.
That's awesome. So we have 2 more questions and then we'll wrap up as we're hitting up on our time. Lisa, you want to?
Yeah, Melanie Doulos is asking, what do you think is most least understood about being an influencer and about being an author writer?
Oh, I think that's interesting. I think with the influencer, I think it's sort of what I was saying, that like, we don't often realize what a job that is, and it's often stressful. And that's what I was thinking about too. Like, we don't know what's going on with other people. And that was sort of a message in the book too, that I wanted to explore. With being a writer, I think it's so exciting to have a book, but like, this is probably the most exciting time because friends are here and they're supportive. And then the rest of the time, you're just like writing words that maybe are terrible and maybe are going to make it into a book one day by yourself with like your hair in a messy top knot. And it's not glamorous.
Right. We can attest to that for sure.
Yeah, no glamour at all. Anita is asking our final question. If you could pick anyone to play Kit, I guess in a movie, who would it be? Anita or Sandra?
Oh, so they're putting themselves.
One too.
There's an agenda.
Listen,
I love it.
Auditions. If anybody wants to be in the movie, send me a reel.
I love it.
I love it.
So you guys, thank you for coming today. You can find Lisa and I on Instagram at Lisa and Liz, and on our website at lizandlisa.com. Chantel, remind us, I know we mentioned in the beginning, but let everyone know where they can find you online.
Yeah, on Instagram or Twitter, it's at Chantelle Guertin, and my website is chantelleguertin.com.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, this was so fun.
Yeah,
I loved everybody. Your audience was so fun and asking. That's what makes these fun, is when people. So thank you everybody that's here and that put all those great questions in, because it's really fun. I mean, not that we don't like a conversation, but it's really fun when the audience is participating.
Oh, it's the best.
So, yeah,
it
really makes it fun. It really
on this piece of paper.
Your questions are always great, but it's really fun when we can do that. And I could just imagine, like we were talking about, when people are in the store, it's like lots of hands being raised and lots of questions being asked. Yep. So that was really fun. Chantel, thank you so much for being with us. This was really fun. And Liz and Lisa, we're almost coming to we're going to stop doing these for a little while. We're going to take a little bit of a couch surfing break. So I know. So I know. Well, we might resurrect it at some point, but
yeah, you never say never.
Not a retirement.
So Chantel, we're retired. So you're one of our last ones that we're doing. So it's been so much fun having you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Julie. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Liz.
Congrats on the book. We don't go back into a green room once I end this. It kind of ends. So good night and thank you, everybody. Don't forget to order Chantel's book and Liz and Lisa's too.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
The royal way.
Get my hand in the
royal wave.
Bye.
Bye.